I want that kind of leadership. I want a leadership that does not look at my tribe, just like somebody who does not look at my race and judge me by the color of my skin or by the name that I have. Like, so those of us who come from the northeast part, most of us are S, Silungwe, Sichinga, Sinyangwe, Sinkalas, Simuyemba, Simumba, all this. So everybody knows where we come from. But I don't know that I should be restricted in terms of my contribution on the basis of my tribe, because what can I do about it? There's nothing I can do about it, and I just have to learn. I have to learn to live amongst others who are Lozis, who are Lundas, who are Kaondes, who are any other tribe in this country.
Right.
So that is my position. So for me, any leader, including the president, who thinks tribally, for me, is no sale.
Right.
So this is my disappointment with the leadership of President HH.
Right. Added to that disappointment, I would like us to discuss the issue around how it all panned out for Bill 7. I'd like your views, because obviously this is the one opportunity I would ask you your views around how everything panned out in Bill 7, for Bill 7 up to where we are now, where it's now in the Constitution. What's your view on that?
Again, the President stated in his own words that he had done Imingalato.
Right.
I ask, how can a president talk about Imingalato? I mean, well, you know what it does? It says to me, I'm a dishonest person, I am trickery, I will do what is expedient rather than what is right, because the president's position is not an ordinary position. He basically is representing God's power here on earth. There are powers of life and death.
Yeah.
There are powers that affect our lives on a daily basis, even if it's not life and death. It's shocking for me. It's so shocking that after the UPND had caused all of us to boycott Bill, to work against Bill the 10. Introduction of Bill 10 under the PF, he almost word for word goes and regurgitates this and brings it as Bill 13. Bill 13 first?
Yes.
Okay. Bill 13 is shot down principally by the Constitutional Court and said this process you have taken is incorrect. You cannot do that because the Constitution, Chomba, is such an important document. It does not belong to a particular government. It belongs to the people of Zambia. Okay? It belongs to the people of Zambia. So you have to get the people of Zambia's views. And it's just that I was rushing to come here. I wanted to show you what had happened in 2005 when an interim report was produced about the constitutional changes. There's a process you follow. All right? You have to go to the people and consult. But if the idea was that you wanted to speed it up, why didn't he do it if you want, in the elections of after 2021, 2022, if it was so important? But he caused everybody, they caused everybody in the UPND to deny Bill 10 under the PF. But they rehash it and bring it in as Bill 13. Then, because the Constitutional Court has said, no, this is not the way to do it, what does he do? He goes out and creates a body which only he, as the executive, can create. It does not follow the pattern and the practices that we have had in the past, because it was expedient for him to do it that way. Not only that, now he has admitted openly that he actually bought out the members of parliament from the opposition. And unwisely, the members of the opposition too decided money was more important to them than the principles, than the representing their people. So we ended up with a compromised parliament, all right? Principally, very few people who we had looked to vote against that bill ended up voting with the government because they had been induced, they had been given resources, monies, and so on and so forth to enable them to vote along those lines. And now you can see some of the people, when you have the social media showing clips of people, when they go back to their constituency, people are up in arms because they wanted to be consulted about their constitution. It is not a UPND constitution. So this has been a failure. And then you bring it in and you force it through. Now, you may force it through now, but the people say they have the final say. That's why you go to elections. It's because they have the final power. They have the power of the vote.
Yeah.
They can decide whether they want to support you or not. So while you might buy a few members of parliament, whether it is 35 or 40, now you have to buy the whole country. And I suspect this is what he's going to try and do. So, for example, the issue of power now being regular, you ask the question, where was it all along? Why didn't you do it all along?
Yeah.
Now we're going to do this, that, and the next. Yes, and the story, of course, is the CDF. CDF was not started by UPND. CDF was started in 1998, right, in Parliament, and I was part of that group. So nobody can tell me about that. So having said all this, it has been, for me, yes, you may force your way through, which is what has happened. Yeah. It's an illegality. It's an illegality. But because you are the executive power, you have pushed your way, you have bought the people's support, in the parliamentarian support. You would have to buy the people's support as well with money, with 5 quarters, because of the poverty levels and so on and so forth. Maybe he will be able to buy. It would still be wrong.
Yeah. What are the repercussions now that it's law, whether after August 2026, the UPND stays in power or there's change of government?
Yeah, if the UPND stays in power, which would be a big disappointment, you end up with more of the same. But to answer the question that you've raised, an illegality, which Bill 7 is, will remain so. And an unjust law cannot be justified just because you forced it onto the statute papers. Yeah. All right? You can't. It will not be made. It will not be sanitized, if you want, to be more suitable. So that I think is very important for us to state. What is in an illegality will remain an illegality. Okay? An unjust law will remain just that. It becomes an unjust law which you cannot support. And if the people say, this is not a law we want to abide by, they'll fight against it. They'll look for some other ways in which to deal with it. So it is a short-sighted position to take. In any case, how does it help? So if the UPND government stays, UPND remains in government, then we will have a problem because they will want to continue with that path. However, if there's a change of government, which I hope there will be, which we hope that there will be, then you have to deal with this illegality. You have to remove it from the statute books. Right. Okay. It will have to be transformation. And if you look at my responsibilities in the pact, you already introduced this to the viewers. Yeah. That I'm responsible for policy, the manifesto, as well as the governance planning. So the governance planning issues are to do with the laws, are to do with the structures of government. How do we do it? Whether it is the legislature or it is the judiciary, these are all to do with the governance of the country. Now we have to decide how we're going to deal with that. And for me, it is quite obvious. You have to take it out and say, let's do the proper thing that people are looking for in terms of consulting them, hearing their views, and then discussing with them to say, if we do it like this, these are the consequences. If we do like this, so although the politicians have a say, it is not just the constitution of the politicians. It is the constitution of the people of Zambia, in this case. And that applies to any country, to create that sovereignty, to create that ownership by the people themselves. Yeah. So it is my sincere hope for that reason that there will be a change of government, because in my view, just to extend the question that you have asked, it seems, at least what they're saying to me, they know who they want to remove. They just don't know who to replace.
That's true, and I'm happy that you're taking that direction because I want to now move to the People's Pact. But before we do, maybe give us your views on the general political landscape right now, specifically with what is happening to the Patriotic Front. Yeah. Is it something that you saw coming? I know you were not. You served in their government as a nominated MP, if I'm not mistaken, and you were part of PF in terms of some of their policies up to the point you said, you know what, I can't handle this, and you left. Well, what would you say is going on? Because would you actually say it's sad? Is it something that is being managed from outside PF? Generally, what is happening with the political landscape? Because as you put it, people out there are looking for an alternative should they want to vote against their current government. Okay. But there's no alternative. Yeah. The elections of 2021
really was a two-horse race.
Yeah.
Okay? Let's just start from there. It was a two-horse race. It was either we continued with PF under President Lungu,
right,
which again for me, even for him to stand in the elections of 2021, for me, Mr. Lungu, it was an illegality. He had already served 2 terms, and I know it was in the courts of law. I know it was controversial, but for me as a legislator, as somebody who was tasked with the job of passing laws, studying laws, and making justifying, and also preparing the manifestos and so on and so forth, I want to say to you, I was extremely disappointed with the manner in which the PF under Mr. Lungu conducted themselves. I was nominated minister under President Sata.
Yes.
He invited me to assist him with his campaign and his party. I was not in PF at that time. But he asked me specifically, he called me and said, this is the situation. We sat down and he says, I want you to do the speeches for me. I want you to help me do the manifesto. So that is what I did. So when he died in 2014, as far as I was concerned, my tenure had basically come to an end in terms of my responsibilities. Mr. Lungu was then elected, whatever the failures and so on and so forth in that process, in 2015, I think it was February. No, January. It was January 20th when we had the elections.
Yeah.
So he was elected and he was brought into office. And again, under very suspicious, very questionable circumstances in terms of his presidency, but he came.
Yeah.
So we had a strong political party that was in place. He served 2 times. One, during that time from the 20th of January, he was sworn into office, correct?
Yeah.
Next, we came now to the end of that. And in 2016, he was re-elected into office. I think to a large extent, on the basis of
continuity.
On continuity, but much more, I think the people were still thinking of what Mr. Sata had done for them.
Yeah.
Okay? And I think that they said, well, let's give him the new person a chance. Now, for me, they are the 2 places he had served, both in January of 2015, as well as in August of 2016. He was elected twice and brought into office twice. Remember, the presidential term of office is coterminous. In other words, it ends at the same time as that of Parliament.
Of course.
So he served. He chose to do a short term as well as a long term, but he was elected twice. So from my side, as a legislator, he had done his 2 terms of office. They did not have to be full, complete 5 years, no. Okay? Because a lot of circumstances can change. Somebody can die, somebody can get ill, somebody can be incapacitated. So from my point of view, he had served his 2 terms. For the Constitutional Court of that day to say that he was eligible to go and stand again, in my view, I was incorrect. All right? He should not have stood there. But he did. And the rest of it, as you know, was now the UPND had the opportunity. Now people said, now how do we overcome this issue of the cadreism and so on and so forth? Maybe let's try another person. And some of them, from my own area, they said, that's what they would say.
Yes.
All right? In other words, they were now looking for alternatives. And they said, so it was a 2-horse race between the PF and the UPND.
Yeah.
They chose UPND, which is why it's disappointing for the president to turn around now and say, you hate me. Okay? But having done that, you now have had the 4 years experience with the UPND. And I think the people have been disappointed. They expected a lot more from it. I'll fix it. Yes, he fixed the people. And that's basically what it is. So to come back to the point, the question that you have raised with me is this issue of the PF works from outside? I will say to you, yes, it is. It's quite clear to me. I mean, I have both been in UPND as well as been in PF.
Yeah.
The person who is currently supposedly holding the title
of president
in the PF, it comes from my constituency in my finger. And I know the young man very well. Okay? Now, he was not anywhere near the powers in PF. He was not there. In fact, President Lungu had refused to work with him, to adopt him as member of Parliament, candidate of Parliament. So that is the background of that one. So clearly, after that, it was a question of now the UPND government and Mr. HH wanting now to find weaknesses to weaken that opposition so that then he has got control. That's what has come out. And there's been no hiding of that. His ministers have come out. I know that my nephew Cornelius Mwetwa has said, yeah, we're taking advantage of whatever weaknesses they have. So it is not something that they are even regretting. The changes that were made to the registrar of societies, at the Registrar of Societies, could only have been done by somebody who had this authority.
Yeah.
And I think everybody knows that. So this is the history that we have come from. How could that have been changed? What was the authority that you had? But going further, because of that, we had Miles Sampa also coming into the picture because he compromised himself with the UPND. Then now came, after Miles Sampa, now came the issues of Chabinga. Yeah. All right? We've got a situation now where now the other people, under given Luinda, now we're fighting back and saying, well, we better regain our party. But on paper, on legally, if you're in terms of the legalism, they had supposedly lost that power. It could only have been done with the help of UPND, and they've admitted that.
Yeah, but somebody would argue, sir, that also there's a good percentage of what has happened to the Patriotic Front is self-imposed, because wouldn't you think that upon losing in 2021, they should have quickly reorganized themselves?
I was going to make that particular point. However, while all this is taking place, even the leadership of the PF should have been better organized amongst themselves. In other words, there should have been much greater unity. Look at what has happened. First of all, they went to President Lungu decided to come back into politics, formed UKA, right? Moved from UKA, formed the Tonse. All this has obviously weakened their party. It has weakened the PF. It has weakened the situation. Now, even more than that, you have not asked about this, but I think it's very important for us to discuss it. The death of President Lungu has meant that now the person they were saying
is left a void. Left a void, yeah.
He's left a void.
Yeah.
Correct. That's the right word. There's a void. And that infighting that was going on and leaving an acting president, all right, in there, did not deal with the situation conclusively. Now, there's a power struggle. In fact, the consequence of that is how we have started looking, including what you invited me to discuss about the People's Pact, is a consequence of, as Zambians, looking for how do we get out of this mess? What hope can we give to the Zambian people? What should we do to be able to provide an alternative to what, as I said at the beginning, people know who they want to remove, but they don't know who to replace that with. Yeah. So we are looking for opportunities. We're saying, let's come together. Whether it is the WhatsApp group, whether it is the UKA group, whether the Tonse are disintegrated, whether you like it or not, it's gone. It's finished. Now I think there's many factions of that. There's the Chabinga faction, then the Ndubile faction, the Given Lubinda faction, all these Chabinga's faction. All these means that now you don't even have a party to talk about. Some have gone ahead and created the other groups and under the guise of the fact that they've created these temporal structures for the campaign and so on and so forth. I don't think that PF will survive from this particular situation. Hence, the need for us to find a dependable, reliable, and credible alternative that we can be able to come around. And hence, we have ended up now looking and forming the People's Pact, which we hope can attract as many credible and committed political and other civic groupings. In fact, this is not a formation of the people that are in the pact at the moment. It was something that came from the civil society side. Yeah. Okay.
So and I like our entry into the crux of our discussion this morning.
Yes.
Which is mainly the People's Pact. We've looked at the political landscape. We've looked at a bit of history in terms of our policies over the past 20 years. let's talk about the People's Pact, maybe for the benefit of those that are not, don't know, because I'll be honest, I think it's now confusing.
It is confusing.
If you go on social media, there's Ichaba, Ichebinwa, there's, I know about 3, party presidents. I don't know where they belong, and now the People's Pact comes on. Tell us more about the People's Pact, so that maybe we can now just spend the rest of the discussion talk about it. What is the People's Pact?
That's very welcome, Chomba. I think this is an important question for us. Yeah. I've always believed in being candid and being truthful in terms of what we say. The People's Pact was not created by political parties. It has not been created by political parties. It has not been created by politicians. This was an initiative of several individuals in the community. Yeah. Very senior, credible people who, according to what we've just discussed between you and myself, saw that there is a challenge with regard to the grouping, the political groupings going forward. Yeah. So the question that was before them was that, can we put together some people? Can we invite some people? So they decided to start interviewing a number of these political parties. They started looking at certain individuals and saying, would you be interested in really being part of this grouping we're thinking of? We want it to be a people-driven grouping, not one which is driven by politicians. So at some date, in the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I had, before that, I had decided, well, let's see how it goes, because frankly, what you've said is correct. Yeah. It became confusing to everybody. And I didn't want to get involved in the fights and so on and so forth, because we've had enough of that. So I was quietly sitting at my home, doing my own chores and so on and so forth. I received a call. We would like you to come to a brief meeting at such and such a location, and please, if you have to make it now, it has to happen now. And when I went to this particular grouping, I was informed about the efforts that were being made by this civic group to try and create something credible. And this was accentuated by the problems which you haven't even mentioned in our introduction, or we haven't mentioned in our introduction. The issue of how the UPND started treating the church, right, or has been treating the church, all right? Particularly the Catholic Church. And it's not just the Alik Banda, Archbishop Alik Banda's situation. I think it has gone on for quite some time, all right? Archbishop Mpundu has also been treated in the same way and abused in many, many ways, and so on and so forth. So when this particular call came and we met at this particular location, I was asked, right. There has been a suggestion, okay, that we create a group that is People's Pact, and a few people have been asked to take leadership roles so that it is not being driven just by civic organizations, but the civic organization is bringing them together so that you, people that are in politics, might be able to provide leadership and alternative leadership to that of the UPND. And unfortunately, I did not even have the time to consider it twice, because it was quite clear in my mind that with all the other things that were going on, the persecution that was going on, persecution, I said persecution, particularly against Archbishop Banda and everything else that was taking place. People would go to church, to a particular church, and as you know, there is members of parliament, politicians, leaders of the political parties have always gone to churches, right, obviously to seek support.
Of course.
And that's where the churches are. It was quite clear to me that something needed to replace the PF because it was disintegrating. It was quite clear.
Right.
So when this group came together, they explained what they wanted, what they had considered, that they had spoken to almost all the political parties, and they decided that some parties could form the core group and then invite others that may fall out from even the PF, wrangles that were taking place. Yeah. So then I was asked, we have proposed you to be vice president for policy and prepare the manifesto which you've been preparing that under your MMD, under the PF, and so on and so forth. We feel that this is something that you have served in government, therefore you could provide the kind of leadership that would be needed at this. We have decided that a leader of a political party should lead the team.
Right.
And you should assist that particular person to do this, and also look at the governance, because you've been a member of parliament for 13, 14 years, you have served as a minister and so on and so forth. I had a few minutes to consider it. But for me, it was quite clear. We needed to make this change. We needed to implement this. So this thing was started, and a fair amount of work had been done already, even as we came to that particular position. It was not something that I went to and said, I'm forming this, I'm forming that, or such and such a person should do this. It is being driven really, or instigated by the civil society. People who, for obvious reasons, will remain anonymous.
For now,
And so, Brother Chomba, as far as I'm concerned, it was necessary to create this group in order to form hope. Right, to form this group so that we create hope in the minds of the people, because once you have a vacuum, it becomes a problem. If you have a vacuum, it eventually gets filled up, and the discontent of the people, the discontentment of the people with the current leadership meant that you needed to agree either to support it, or if you fold your hands and say, no, I'm not going to participate in it, then you must be prepared for the consequences of that, which you raised earlier on. If UPND wins again, where will it take us? It means a deepening of the policies that they've been pursuing.
Yeah.
So because of that, I went into it. So let me just finish this in terms of the how this has been formed. So basically it has got, in terms of the structure of this People's Pact, it's made up of several political parties. Amongst them is the SP, among them is the Greens of President Sinkamba. Then there is the Party for Equity, Democracy and Equity by Dr. Simiemba.
Yeah.
There is so the leader that was picked by the civil society was Fred Membe of the Socialist Party.
Okay.
And he was to be supported by five vice presidents, and I'm one of them.
Right.
And these five presidents are supposed to be sort of like spread out, although there are many SSCs. It is supposed to be spread out to various other places, but it happens to be those were the first ones to agree. There's also another party called UPND, UBZ, that was also joined in there, and there are many more that are coming on board. So to answer the question that you've raised, yes, there had been, because of these wrangles that were going on in PF, there was a lot of formations, and everybody is looking to create something.
Right.
And obviously, all of us can't be presidents.
Of course.
So we have to settle for that sort of leadership. So this was announced about 2 weeks ago. Then last weekend, it was finally launched. We launched it. And I want to say this so that for the benefit of the Zambian people that are watching and listening to this conversation. The UPND government called the hotel at which this launch was supposed to take place, and basically threatened the owners that if that launch takes place, we will not pay you. We know that there is dues from the government to you, there are dues from FAS to you. We know there's some other payments from government agencies.
Yeah.
We'll stop that. Now, here's a small hotel. They are trying to do whatever they can with all the challenges that we have, power supply and so on and so forth, and you threaten them. What happens? And during that same time, 3 truckloads of police, riot police with tear gas and everything, came to that particular hotel. So there was no choice but to leave. So we left and launched elsewhere.
Right.
So it just tells you just how desperate the UPND government is. They sent police, so they're weaponizing the police. They are weaponizing the judiciary. They are weaponizing anybody that has got authority over this. So nevertheless, it was launched, and they didn't know where it was launched from until it was streaming. So what I'm saying to you is that this is definitely not the kind of leadership, party leadership, the government leadership that we can allow to go on to the next stage, because they themselves are a product of people's discontentment in 2021 with what PF was doing. And now the tender, we seem to have just jumped from the frying pan right into the fire itself. This is what UPND has shown.
Yeah, so
it has to be dealt with.
Yeah.
So the People's Pact is basically to invite as many credible, right, dependable and democratic political parties and individuals, civic organizations to come on board so that we can form a formidable formation.
Right.
That can be able to put forward candidates to make sure that the 2026 August 13th election is decisive in terms of taking UPND out of their place.
I'll ask you this. If you were to gauge what the People's Pact brings to the table, if you were to form government,
yes,
against what the UPND has performed,
yes,
or how it's performed over the four years into this fifth year, what does the People's Pact bring to the table in terms of governance?
That is different.
Agriculture, mining, that is different from the promises that UPND made. And out of those, however, they've managed to succeed in, to score in any of those promises. Yeah. I must say that after you answer that, we'll open phone lines, so maybe our listeners and viewers can get ready. I'll give them the number now, if you don't mind.
Yes, sure.
So as we wait for Mr. Sichinga to answer that question, we shall expect calls on 0955 997 997, that's Zamtel, or 0979-192-485. We shall take 3 calls at a time, just to allow for Mr. Sichinga to take down some notes and then, attend to those questions. You won't believe that both lines are ringing now, so maybe let's give a chance to the callers.
Yes,
but fine. My question will stand. I'd like to have you tell us more about. Please put on your headset. I'd like for you to respond to the question as to what you bring to the table as a People's Pact, which is a good measure against what the UPND has done so far, so that people can make decisions as they go to elections.
Yes.
So we shall pick up. Okay, so both lines have gone off. I took too long.
Okay.
Anyway, here we are. We have a caller. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Hello. Please tell us your name and tell us where you're calling.
Hello, sir. Hello. How are you? I'm fine, thanks. How are you?
Please tell us your name.
This line is very bad.
Sorry. Okay.
I can't follow this. Let him call again.
Please call again. The line is quite bad, Mr. Dr. Prout. Please call again. Yeah, so 0955 997 997 or 0979 192 192. So we've got a caller. Hello, good morning. Yes. Sorry? Okay, please speak up, Dr.
So now Bobo Sting and that UPND listen to you join our Mwankala Najiparijanunga in the Bank. Famanja Mona Vinda, Manaka to one person be a Poikamba Poti, Mondu Amenanga Monkala member. But my church when I come back to Savastara over Japan to Kubuela, put to Mania 2,000 in a tribe. Why will Jamodomena and Akamba put we need only the president that you go Eastern or go Vapura, not any one tribe. But many Valungu Marirao Vananda said to you, Vanam Puima Nimbozajitonga, one who seen Yakamba Dosa and Nimbozajitonga. I mean, one up on Amadeo players. But it's a Puima Nimbozajitonga. You go to some radio station, Ukakambajitonga, we are not listening. Komoka Kamajimba to Tumbera, Inyanja to Tumbera. Namba Jitonga Matatu Wejo. Those are tribe where we needed to fight. That's why President has emphasized that we should not allow people to come back. So Bobo Stinda just come to UPND. Father Warrior, we are Nabuera. Karimansha Nabuera. Ngai Mosina Gukane no Bora.
Zikom. All right, maybe let's take up another. Yeah. Let's take another caller. Hello.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Moderator.
Good morning, sir. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from, and you have at least 30 seconds to a minute to put your contribution across.
Okay, thank you very much. This is Kingsley, the voice of Chamba Valley.
Mr. Kingsley, the voice of Chamba Valley. Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, okay, thank you very much. When we talk of tonsils, isn't it the person who is on the studio there is about one of those tonsil guys, right?
Well, please go ahead with your contribution. We'll ask him, he will respond to that so that we just put across your total contribution.
Okay, what I want to say is that these guys, they have failed us because why am I saying so? The ruling party has never had the strong opposition which can offer checks and balances, good checks and balances, other than these tonsil guys who are just who are just bringing confusions always, propaganda each and every day. They don't sleep when they hear even the voice of Hakanda Ichilema. So these guys, they are just they are confused actually. They don't have direction. They don't have direction. So for them, they have disappointed their supporters actually. So these guys, even come 2020, even come August 2026, they will not even file in a presidential candidate because each and everyone he want to be president because they are self-centered politicians. I thank you. This is my contribution this morning.
Thank you very much, sir. Yeah, so maybe we'll take one more call and we allow you to respond. Hello, good morning. Ma'am. And where are calling us from?
Angela Pagaden Chirolo up.
Angela Pagaden.
La Bob Singa Mulibwanji.
Nilibu mama Mulibwanji.
Awe tiribu Mwakambapu maningi. Pamela Bambila kustani ma interview tamvera maningi. Maona de. Mwakonde mavonse vida wa president vanaweza kamba pari tribe kuja kwa neruwenze lili. Ametiona kuti muntu ni member wa Patriotic Front wa kuchama nosi yesterday manje ambota condemn pari tribe but enzeko kuja kwa neruwenze kamba pari tribe kana imirire kuja kamba kuti yai aya ba president mausi yafunika babo Sichinga apa ifekiri mavuto mazambiani pari boma ya UPND imwe munasebinga mwanda pia sinapitepo mavuto monga anetipita muri wa UPND government mukayangana olobakamba kuti basebenza mu campaign yao promises yao zikamba tunga 50 kwacha immediately now $14 hours izabwerera inabwerera apa yo free education yao batipanisha form ya 1500 kwacha but under PF government tenzo gula inform ya bana 350 270 ba grade 1 400 kwacha ati apa muone 1500 mabooks mtengo zilipa mwamba apa kutupeza school chabe place ya mwana niyo kosa kwa ngapata grade 10 or on grade 8 Bob Sichinga mukamba vintu vali mu government ya kango ya UPND ndiye baleta ma confusion na wapasa charinga paper ya PF kana bafuna nikushita destroy ma parties ya mine ali strong so that bankalebeka balete kamene katika dictatorship benzo yona munga 26 kutari ati apa ya paramira ndiye izi mingalato zao tuona mingalato zao zanezisika koma Bob Sichinga aba bantu sizira kamse tindu soga musaleke kukamba musaleme ite ku background tiriko tizameki ngashuwa abantu tibatosepo tilete democracy mwamene mwanzo sebenzere mwe kudala ndio kambako kwanga zikomo
kwambiri. Right, let me allow you to respond. We've got at least 3 contributions.
Yes,
sure. Please go ahead.
Sure. All right. Let's start with the issues of I'll respond to the questions later. But the issues that you've asked, where do we stand as a people's pact?
Right.
All right. You've talked about the issues to a large extent which Amake Angela is raising. What are politics for? What are politics for? In every country, in every situation, those that purport to come to the people, they want to represent the people, whether it's in a parliament, in a congress, in a senate, right, whatever it might be.
Right.
The idea is to create there a system where the executive of that country will administer the policies of the country. Okay? So in this particular case, What we're talking about is that the people want solutions to their individual problems, whether it is about the education of their children, the cost of buying things, whether it is about the hospitals and how they're being treated there, whether it's about infrastructure, where they can be able to go and how suitable it is, whether it is about their well-being, in whatever form that it might be. That is the purpose of the politics, is to provide a system of governance that meets the people's challenges, the people's problems, the people's expectations. So you hear Make Angela says, "Ma promise pameno anati pasa, ganadi gakuti." Let's go through it again so that we are very clear.
Yeah.
The UPND had promised that what PF was doing was something they were going to fix, they were going to correct. Whether it is about the price of millimil to 50 kwacha, whether it was the price of fuel to 13 kwacha per liter, whether it was about the development that was needed. Essentially, they came into office in 2021 with an agenda of fixing the problems that we saw in PF. And yes, there were many problems in PF, all right? But according to the people, at least they said they used to have access to money. They had shortages of power, but not where 2 days, 3 days would go, they have no power. Or 24 hours, no power. How were they going to run their businesses? How were they going to do their hairdressing? How were they going to do their fabrication in Garden, in Kalingalinga, and everywhere else where they make the metal fabrication and so on and so forth? Without power, how are they going to do that? How are they going to bake the bread and to sell and so on and so forth? So all these things were the things that the UPND had promised to fix. The president himself, there are so many podcasts in social media where he's saying one thing. Now he's saying something quite contrary. Bill 10, all right, is a good example. They said Bill 10 we cannot allow. They went and brought Bill 13 and then finally Bill 7, right, which was almost a replica of what PF was doing. And this is what the people are complaining about. There's no consistency. There's no consistency in what they're doing. And the policy framework that they are pursuing is also that they never said to us, oh, we are going to go to IMF to get money from there. They said, we'll fix the economy. We'll create jobs. Where are the jobs? Where have they created it? These jobs. So the issue at hand has been very well summed up by Amake Angela. Very well summed up. The issues have to be resolved. The People's Pact is not a political party. It is a gathering of political parties, civic organizations, and other people that are interested in correcting what should have been corrected by PF according to their own promises, which they have not done. So, essentially, my responsibility in that group is to assist the president member and develop now the issues, those policies into a manifesto. That manifesto will say, we'll address this, we'll address this, we'll address this. They're obvious.
Right.
The obvious things are this. We must correct the situation of employment. Without question, it has to be corrected. We have got about 7.5 million to 8 million children of employment age, many of them with certificates from colleges and universities, and they can't find jobs. I'm talking about 7.5 million. And just to make sure that our audience and our viewers understand this population of Zambia is about 21 to 22 million.
Right.
The bulk of that population, around 17 million, are young people below the age of 35. Now, how, if you have got no jobs to offer to them, how are they going to live? How are they going to survive? You have to address that. Okay, so that is part of the policy that we have to pursue. There's another side. Part of the problem why we're having all these things backwards and forwards, exchange rates and so on and so forth, is because the government, I'm saying the government, Chomba, does not generate sufficient income to meet these needs for development. There is running the government. I'm talking about the government administration, the permanent secretaries, the employees in the government, the teachers, the medical personnel, the civil servants of one form or other, the commissions that we have, and so on and so forth. We have not got sufficient jobs to do that, or the resources to run those government issues correctly. Part of that problem is the corruption. There's excessive corruption, not just under the PF, which there was, but also under the UPND. It's gotten worse. And this is high crime late. The FIC report is there. You don't even need to go to look elsewhere. The Auditor General's report is there. So we will take from there and develop the policies that counter that in order to make a correct situation. Let's go a little further. We as Zambia are a mining country, right? We are primarily a mining country. That is where the bulk of our income comes from. Come UPND in 2021, they found the mineral royalty tax, which is a major contribution to the taxes of the country,
right,
at 6% on the sales that are made. Sales, 6% on the sales. What does UPND do? They reduce it from 6% to 3%. Now, I'm now going to talk as an accountant. I'm going to talk as an economist.
Yeah.
So how will you increase the revenue when you do that? How will you increase it? The argument by the UPND administration is that we want to encourage investment. The question I'm asking, was there no investment? Already, the government had in its hands KCM. It owned KCM. They already had Mopani, which left by PF with all the mistakes PF made. They owned Mopani 100%. What happened? The president himself, HH, said he will never, 3 times he said it, in podcasts, he will never hand over this back to KCM, to Vedanta in KCM, who are major shareholders in KCM. He will never hand it back to them. What did he do? He handed it back to them. Mopani, they go out there, sell all the shares in Mopani, and they say, we've retained 49%. Such is a great deal. But you had 100%. Right. So the production that is coming from Mopani, the production that is coming from the KCM units have to be shared according to the shareholding. Now, he is a minister of mines. He is a president who even claimed that is the minister of mines claimed that the attorney general had agreed with them that this was not a sale, which they are supposed to have taken to Parliament for discussion.
Right.
But it was, I don't know, whatever it was in their mind. For us, for me as an accountant, that's a disposal. That's a sale of shares. I'm asking the question, where is the money for which you sold those shares? So if the foreigners, if the foreign companies have control over your production, how are you going to generate income? Let me share this with the viewers. As of Saturday, and right now, the price of copper hit the highest level it has ever been in the world.
13,000.
It's at plus 13 plus,
yes.
13,000 plus. It has never been there. And by the way, I worked for ZCCM for 10 years. When I left ZCCM, 1986, the price of copper was at $2,000 per metric ton. Now it's at 13,000 plus. So who is getting that income? Okay? It must be the shareholders. Who are the shareholders? Initially, it was Glencore in Mopani. It was Vedanta in KCM. They are the people who take the resources. Now, to say that they ought to make the investment, so we must reduce the mineral royalty tax. The question I'm asking, if you reduce the mineral royalty tax, how are you going to continue to run government? How are you going to do the surveys? You've created a commission now for mining. And all the people that were in the ministry have moved to that particular institution. So who is going to develop policy? Because in government, Chomba, in government, the minister is responsible for policy. The permanent secretary and their team, the directors, they are responsible for implementation.
Yeah.
They are the technocrats. So if you do that, who is going to develop the issues based on the policy that the government is instituting? So to answer the question they have said, our job is very well defined.
Right.
My responsibilities, just like my colleagues, is also to look at the governance planning. We have to plan. This we are doing right now. We're working on that right now. Our policy framework is already done. We're working on that. We're building pillars, right, in there where we're stating what is going to be done on each one of them. Because in our case, it will be even more difficult because we have to correct mistakes that were being made by UPND, which They should have corrected. When PF was in place, the mistakes of PF as well have to be corrected.
Right. We've got callers coming in, sir, and I know you need to make a comment on the two callers that we have.
I'll make a comment on
let's just add on a few more calls. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Moderator. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you, sir. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from quickly, and your contribution.
This is Mulenga, the voice of Luapula.
Mr. Mulenga, voice of Luapula. Please go ahead.
Honorable Singauli.
Uchete mkwai. Mulishani mwe.
Tulifye bwino katuishye mkwai.
Inendifye bwino mkwai. Thank you. Mweba voice of Luapula. Na inendi mwina Luapula.
Yakuli ubwasya mkwai.
Mkwai.
Contribution twayo but coming 2026 apanshire mono wenga funya kwa kainde chire majo echinka and one way to call at chimichita device ukweba ati hiu do ichiria ya isoko kusa kuyupie ndita bonfenso na mona kalimasi ke ordinary person wakweba ture mchita turemo angashawe ali ba popular ukutibana ababene turemo nabandi amafuma minister nama minister ali kwatama followers kalimachika so turamona kwati lokwati abapenya achitire defect social media yonse ilife kalimashi but ifwe bambifwe kuti waimona ilya follower olokuti ni former minister mwali mona po ilya abakuli kalimashi influence yako ali kwata influence ilya tuirabe panawe because nabe ne bambi abali mususha yabaye nyama sire kwini mulemo nabalera ndapali kalimashi era mulombe mpia babe bare bomba bose era mfuma mu chiplan kalimashi turanja tishani ku PND abwerera efene mwana ndati mwana walwire abwerera panganda problem ili kwisi so pali nonshika evonde fo kumyeba tapali wenga funyapo UPND because na propaganda yo bare panga especially pali BO7 na iso korokoko uko ama chiefs uko ku Northern Party of Zambia barelanda one of them ni ba chief ku Kuluwingu baranda chief byo bare tuweba chief mu BO7 ifeta tule simona after mwasaina bantu bare tuweba diose third term bare tuweba tiyo president takwakabyo kuvota akapikirisha siyonse byo bare tuwepa tamuli
right
so what nangu bare in conclusion development is issue of free education and the social cash transfer cash for work abantu bangu benga kita pretend but abantu bare sumina abantu abene bani simona akuchiteni vye pretend imwatita mulefi mone fyo fine
okay totally that's all right yeah we'll pick up another call just hello good morning. Hello, good morning. Your name and where you're calling us from. Hello? Hello?
We lost that.
Hello?
Yeah, please tell us your name and where you're calling us from quickly. Mr.?
It's breaking.
All right. Please call again. That's 0955 997 997 or 0979 192 485. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am. Tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Mr. Bob Sichinga, sir, how are you? Good morning.
Good morning to you, ma'am. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. This is Mary from Chaisa.
Yes, from Chaisa. Please go ahead. Thanks for calling.
Mr. Bob Sichinga, I just want to say, well spoken. You're speaking well. Continue speaking on for us Zambians who are suffering because these problems you have passed through there a lot. And they're saying, no, this cash work thing, whatever CDF thing, if this cash work thing, they're just giving each other, writing each other's names, and they're getting paid. Have witness something to say. When you go, they'll come for you. They'll come to you to say, no, I'll come and get your NRC and your name. When you won't even go work there. You just receive money. And then when they receive the money, they'll come and give you 100 kwacha. The rest, the person gets. These people are doing this cash work. They're just giving each other. So continue speaking for us, Zambians. You're speaking well, and we are behind you. Please, you oppositions, please get united. We are waiting for you on the ground. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. Maybe quickly just respond to those. Then, because calls are coming in.
Yes. Sure.
Yeah. All right.
Let's just look at what Proud said. Proud is a member of UPND.
Right.
And what UPND does all right? I want just to make sure that everybody understands. They distribute money to several people.
Right.
There's a team that they use, that any time you have a studio session like this,
right,
every one of those is calling you.
Oh, okay.
They are paid money, so they can call in and do exactly what Proud did. Okay? Now, this is about, I'm not about politicking Proud. You know me very well, I'm a disciplined person, and even you should be disciplined. I've told you so many times when we've met, we are not here just to distribute it to specific individuals money so that they can do this. You can say as much as you want, the problems will not go away. That's about you, Proud. And your Kingsley from Chamba Valley makes that fact that I should just go back. Go back to where? I formed UPND. I know what UPND is like. HH, their president, was not even there. I was deputy president to Mr. Mazoka. Sakwiba Squatter was president to Mazoka. What is it that I don't know about UPND? So these are mostly the people that they plant in all these places so they can be able to advance this, including Mr. Mlenga or Voice of Luapula, so-called. For them, the issue of they admired Kalimanshi's way. Let him have a lot of money. But it was an illegality. It's an illegality to go to the intercity and start collecting monies which are supposed to be collected by the council. Right. That is the anarchy that the People's Pact wants to eliminate. We do not want the corruption, this kind of corruption. In fact, it has been very well exemplified by Mary of Chaisa. What is happening, even the question of we are doing CDF. CDF is basically to help the cadres. It is not helping the people. Where cash for work, exactly what you heard what she said. You don't even work. So how can it be cash for work? Instead, they'll come and give you 100 kwacha. The rest of it is these cadres that take, because they've taken your NRC, so they use that. So these abuses is what we have to correct. If this country carries on, whether it is UPND, whether it is PF, or any other party for that matter, doing exactly this with the cadres,
right, we
are doomed. So I want to tell you, Mr. Mlenga, I want to tell you, Mr. Kingsley of Chamba Valley, so to say, that and I want to state to you, Proud, that you are all mistaken. You want something for today. I am wanting something for my children. I'm wanting something for my grandchildren. I'm wanting something for that person who is going to the hospital to find drugs at the hospital.
Right.
I want them to find worthwhile jobs. I want to make sure that the country develops beyond where we are. Zambia should not be at this level. Zambia should be at a different level. If I was of your kind of mind that all I want is money, I had many opportunities to have taken money. Right now, Proud, for your information, Mr. Kingsley, Mr. Mulenga, if I had wanted to take money, there were so many opportunities. But nobody is coming to my home. Nobody will come to me and say that you stole. I never stole, and I will never steal. Not on any circumstances. So you can forget about that. And all of you are misguided because you think about yourselves rather than about the country. So, Mary, I want to assure you, Amake Angela, I want to assure you, we are doing everything we can. With your help, we should be able to get there. And it's not because anybody hates anybody in UPND or anywhere else. Right. No, nobody hates that. But we hate the things that are going on because they are wrong.
Right.
They're wrong.
Right.
So those are the answers that I can give you. But let me just say this. I'm responsible for policy. So we are developing those policies. They'll be pronounced, and we are going to go. In the next 6 months, we'll be up on the road. But what is UPND doing? They are blocking everybody. I've just given you the example of how they were stopping the launch last week, Saturday. You can check it out.
Right.
They sent 3 trucks of police officers with tear gas to stop us an indoor meeting. It was not even public. They will not give anybody any permit or allow any permit holder, issue a permit to make sure that you can be able to hold a rally. Why are they scared? What are they scared of? And this is the same thing that they themselves were subjected to by PF. Now it is them implementing it on others. So this is unacceptable, to stop people from exercising their rights and buying members of parliament, okay? And now you can see these members of parliament who have been bought, they are going out there to the countryside, to their constituencies, because they've been promised by the UPND that they will be made to stand in those constituencies if they keep their membership. That's what they've done. Now, is this If you want to do that, let's have a fair, a level playing field. Let's have a fair game. So allow other people to also do. The UPND has failed to even implement, okay, the legislation on the free media. All right? Access to information has not been done. This is now the fifth year now for them. When would they present it? If they wanted freedom, which they said they had been denied, why are they not doing that? So these are the issues that are at hand, and this is what we are working on right now. And I will seek for your indulgence that at a later date, maybe a month later, maybe 2 months later, we'll come back and say this is what we've done in terms of the policies, that major policies. For example, we want the mines to belong to Zambians. We want them to belong to the government and citizens of Zambia. I'm talking about the mines.
Right.
Because we can then have more resources.
Right.
The next thing that we're going to talk about is to create employment opportunities. How do we do it? We're going to take the copper that is being mined in our country and not export it out of the countries in raw form. We want to do now the industrialization to have value addition. Those are the processes that create the jobs.
Right.
Let me give you an example. In the past, those resources were being processed, some of those resources were being processed at Ndola Copper Refinery in a place called Precious Metals Plant. It was producing gold. Every mining company produces gold, 15 to 20 kilos every month. They export it out of the country. Gold right now is at almost $3,000 per ounce. Where does it go? Who accounts for it? And we shall discuss other things. We need to stabilize the exchange rate such that the people can plan, the business people can plan. We want the citizens to own the means of production. We want them to own the means of distribution. Yes, we are open going to investment, but we want equity, we want equality, we want real partnership. For example, the European Union comes and says, let's do a partnership agreement. But that partnership agreement wants us to send the copper to Europe so that their children can get jobs by the processing systems. How about our children? What happens to them?
Right.
Where will they get the jobs from if we export the jobs? Every copper ton we export means we're exporting jobs for our children.
Right.
And there are 7.5 million of them.
Let's pick up another caller. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Mkito Washmalani.
Washmalani from Kito. Please go ahead.
Mshama Bobu Sichinga.
Ndifya bwino batata mulishani.
Ile sale tsunga mungu chushi balete ba UPND.
Mkwai.
Batata mulelanda bwino sana lesa mipale.
Natasha manne.
Imwe ikale ni bwino intungulushi shapifu mushebe. Ibe fya kusala omuntu umo. Kuno ko pabet kuno abantu baletsula abantu. Bale yumfo kweba chama maini yali suka. Tapali file chitika bufi.
Exactly.
Kai abanetwa UPND bali kwa tofu sana. So kuti balande suweme but baleta opposite sinto. So please even intungulushi shapifu bekatane babike inganda bwino abantu bale bakabila abantu. Ekataneni bonse ba opposition. Plan bako batinga twaika ba UPND basapita ba tukasafa kunsalo bubi. So a chance yetu ya kwebati mungekatana abantu amawadi yonse mukasangati yali intact. Bakali manchabo bale fokulia nista akulia ino. Nga bale tefintu pokeni mudie ni mpya shenu. Ishachalo bale ibala beswaba ba UPND. Nga mwaisa kuno ama contact bale telefebeka beka ba UPND beka. So abena Zambia bale chura please. Atiyete ngatwaika tana. Tukose fanya pobuteko mfano ngatchinja buteko bu tukesa mboko lya abana besu abakashi besu bali abayina bwino abayemba bali onda kunsala mlando aba UPND mkwa inatotera.
Okay, thanks Washmalani. All right, 0955-997-997 is a number you can call us on. We'll take maybe 2 more calls, then I'll ask us to close Mr. Sichinga. So let's take 2 more calls and then we can respond to them and then we can close the show. Good morning. I'm very fine, thanks. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
My name is Philemon from Zambia.
Philemon from?
My name is Philemon from Zambia.
Zambia, please go ahead.
Yes. Good morning, Sichinga.
Hello, Philemon. Kulishani kuchitulika kulishani.
Kulishani kusaka.
Iyo mkwai buchushi wobwine tulela ndapo. No. Mpika yishani. Na mkwate ifula ilelo kafye bwino.
Ilelo kafye bwino yamu.
Tuatashe mwane. Mkwai.
Sure. Sana pala ifula eko ilisama.
Mkwai na bepushe.
And allow me to disagree with you.
Yes.
You know, when we were campaigning, we are not campaigning about 50 kwacho bunga. The main agenda, hello?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Yeah, the main agenda was, that is in 2020, 2021, was to resuscitate, revive the economy, of which we have done. Credit rating, Kwenyu B, inflation going down, appreciation of exchange, kwacha, Kwenyu, you know. So all these are the areas that we are seeing that what we promised has come to fruition. You cannot develop without growing the economy. When we assumed the power, we found that the GDP was at 18. This time, at the end of 2026, we are anticipating it to grow, maybe double, maybe in the range of 36. Have you seen? So which means the economy when the economy grows, the resource envelope, you know, will allow you, number one, to buy medicine. That's why you are seeing that we are able to employ teachers, you know. Hello?
Hello, Mr. Philemon, please wind up.
Yeah. In conclusion, plus you critics were saying no country on planet Earth is developed with a program of IMF. But we've got a program of IMF this time. What is the economy doing? The economy is doing very fine plus the IMF project. Have you seen? So you are lucky that this president knows what he's doing, because you went on rampage cheating the nation to say this IMF will make you more poor, but it is opposite.
Right.
This IMF, hello?
Thank you very much, Mr. Philemon. Let's give a chance to other callers.
Yeah.
All right. Maybe I'll allow for you to comment, yes, Mr. Philemon, and of course the previous caller, and then maybe we can close the show.
Yes, thank you. Well, let me just respond to Mr. Philemon straight away.
Right.
Which contrasts with Shimalani from Kitwe. Okay. It's very clear. For us, what we want is the freedom for people to agree and not agree.
Right.
As for Philemon Chitulika, I trust he's not even calling from Chitulika. Okay. Let's just say this. He is regurgitating. Philemon, I was vice president of UPND. More than me. How can you know more than me? I founded UPND. I was deputy president for economy and politics. So if you is simply information which you have been given to keep saying along and say this, that, and the next. Secondly, I served as a minister of commerce, trade, and industry. I served as a minister of agriculture. At commerce, I used to travel to the very institutions such as IMF and so on and so forth. If the IMF policies are so good, how come the people are having the challenges of resources now? How come there's no power? How come until today you have got only you've got the CDF that is basically benefiting just cadres like you, Mr. Philemon. So all you are interested is you protect yourself. You are talking about your self-interest. So I think that we should dismiss it with the contempt it deserves.
Right.
And by the way, Mr. Philemon, I am qualified in those areas of economics. I don't think you are qualified to that extent. So you can read and know the things, circumstances. I hope that if you are truly in Mpika, you know very well that there is no power being supplied throughout. If that is the success of IMF programs, then I don't want to be part of it. Also, the same government has said they've abandoned
the IMF
program of extension. They'll do another one. It's deliberate, and I know exactly what they're doing. They can come at later stage and say, now we want to consider this, that, and the next. No IMF programs have worked anywhere in the world. All they do is bring problems, pain, and so on and so forth, because they prescribe it to fulfill a particular agenda of the neoliberal countries, the neoliberal Western policies. That's what they have done. So that is not even worth commenting on. I want to say it's basically Philemon, Mulenga, Kingsley, Proud. These people have been given money to be able to call. And then, so they look forward. If they can put in, they say, "Look, I made the call.
Right.
Can I have the money now?" That's what basically this is.
Right.
So that's the point that is that to be made. But Martin here, if you go to the copper belt, and that's what we have to do. The pudding is in the proof of the pudding is in its eating. If you go to the copper belt, is it producing the level that it should? Will they get to 3 million in 5 years' time? The answer is no. Because they have no understanding of how a mine is developed. I worked on the mine. I worked on a mine. I was Divisional Financial Controller and Mine Secretary of Mufulira Mine for 5 years, from 77 to 81. I used to go underground every month. So anybody cannot talk to me about mines and how they operate. And I know exactly what's happening on the copper belt. I've been on the copper belt. I'm on the copper belt. I talk to people on the copper belt. There is no such production levels. Without power, you cannot do it. And for the benefit of people like Kingsley and Proud and Philemon and Mulenga, let me tell you, in Mufulira just alone, I'm going to talk to you about Mufulira alone. There's an electric furnace. The amount of electricity power it demands is huge. They are operating at 60% of capacity. How are you going to earn it? You have no understanding of economics. You have no understanding of finance. You have no understanding of mining. That's why you can say the things that you're saying. Just because you've received a small amount of money from UPND is not a solution to the challenges of the many people. The women are calling. They know. They are the ones that are looking after the food. They know the pain they're going through.
Right.
So all the suppliers on the copper belt, if you talk to them genuinely, off camera, they'll tell you how difficult it is. It is not working out this way. And we know why. I know why, because I worked there at a very high level. So in conclusion, let's say this. We are right at this point in time. We have President Fred Membe. We have Sinkamba as Vice President. We've got Simiyamba as Vice President. There's myself as Vice President. My responsibilities are policy, manifesto, and governance planning. And there are 2 other positions that this group that is promoting this People's Pact are looking out. And in particular, they're looking out to other provinces and different gender, and they'll be announced in due course as soon as these are cleared. And as I said, with your indulgence, we can come back in a month's time, and we will come back and say this is what we've done. But I also want you to invite some of my colleagues who are responsible for other aspects.
We actually had Dr. Membe last week.
Oh, well, fantastic.
Yeah, so at least that was a good start.
Yeah, so fortunately, he's an intelligent individual. Yeah. He's well-educated, he's very articulate. He knows the geopolitical, global geopolitics of the world. He's very well known. He knows the history of this country very, very well in various aspects. So we do have a solid leader. We also have very solid, people like Basinkamba is very, very well articulated on this.
Right.
Basimiyemba is a doctor in various aspects, including law and so on and so forth. So these are people that are not looking for jobs. I don't need a job from anybody. I survive. I can survive. But how about so many others that do not have the same opportunity as I have?
Right. I'll give you a minute. Yeah. I'll give you a minute to close in your concluding remarks.
As we conclude, I want to say to you, even the changes that are taking place on the exchange rate, which was made reference to, there are different things that are happening. It is not because of good management that this has happened. It is because the dollar is losing its value on the international market. The fact that now countries can pay for oil, for example, Saudi Arabia, for example, Russia, they can pay for that oil using different currencies such as the yuan, okay? Means that now the dollar's dominance is no longer prevalent.
Right.
Because of that, it is losing its value. And the holdings, the debt that the US government has, which is not backed by any gold, it means that they are using paper money. And if the paper note people are selling them, they're disposing of them because they are no longer that valuable, it will continue to lose value. And because the dollar is losing value, it looks like the kwacha is gaining, because that is the reference point that Zambia has been using.
Right.
So as we conclude, I will say to you that we are aware of the many problems that the people have. The cost of living, for example, from the JCTR food basket, for example, is saying that we need a family needs more than 10,000 kwacha, 11,000 kwacha, around that range, in order to survive. Now, this is not something that this pact has done. It's something that is independently assessed. And this is what we're saying. How many families are earning that amount of money?
Very few.
And how about the many jobs that we're talking about? The average age in this country, in terms of the population, is 19. They're bringing nothing. And even if you're at 25, you're at 35, you can't find the jobs. Even if you have a certificate from the University of Zambia or from any other university, you can't find the jobs. How are you going to provide the value of your services in terms of what we call the youth dividend? How are you going to do that if you're not finding a job? How do you pay back the loans that you have taken? So we recognize these issues, and they'll come out very clearly, not just these ones, several others. We want ownership of the mines. We want so that our people can have access to the income. If you remember, some of the changes that are taking place on the exchange rate is because now they say they want to monitor the dollar coming back into the country. This is something I was saying when I was minister. I was saying we must have that. We must account for it here, not a private company keeping the money outside the country. That is what was deteriorating the dollar, the kwacha.
Right.
So as we finish, I want to say to you that I want to make an appeal to the Zambians. This is their thing. If they want a change in government, they should support the People's Pact. They should support the People's Pact. We will be going out in the field. Because they have refused to even give us any permits to make the meetings, we will find other means by which we communicate with the people. So, Malani, please don't give up. Yeah, we are coming to you. Even if the PF disintegrates the way it is doing, the People's Pact is there. We will be coming to you. We wish everybody could be on board. Make Angela, trust us. Mary, trust us. We're doing everything we can, and we're knowledgeable people. We're not people who are hungry for positions or for resources or monies and so on and so forth. No, we want to solve Zambia's problems.
Right.
I thank you very much for
Thank you so much, Mr. Sichinga, for coming through. I think you've spoken well. And as you've said, we look forward to having you again in the next month or so.
Yes, thanks. Thanks very much indeed. And also goodbye to our listeners.
Okay, great stuff. So that was your political podcast. We had Mr. Bob Sichinga, who is the Vice President in charge of Policy, Manifesto and Governance Planning for the newly launched People's Pact. As you said, look out for the activities as we run up to the elections. Otherwise, from me, Yowela Chomba, thank you so much and have a great day. See you next week.
This has been the Political